So it was around the time that I was pregnant with our second child, and we were looking into childcare for 2 kids. And it was kind of like, man, babe, like, you hate your job.
Like it felt, it was a mortgage. It was like a rent, like
to take care of your kids. Yeah. And so it was kind of like, I mean, your income would basically be washed with childcare payments or whatever. So I was like, what if you just stayed home and take care of the kids? And at first, he kind of was taken aback by that suggestion.
Yeah, I wasn't for it. It didn't feel manly. It didn't feel right. It felt like, you know, I don't know. Like, it just didn't, I didn't feel like that was my position,
Yeah.
you know?
And when we told a lot of people that, like, when he did come to terms with, like, this is actually not a bad idea.
Yeah. Well, it was crazy because a lot of people were like, "Oh, that's interesting." And I know when they got home, they was like, "You heard what they gonna do over there? They finna be broke." You know what I'm saying? So
no, not broke, but just like the man is staying home.
Yeah, like I think it was
back. People saw it as being backwards. Like, shouldn't Yvette quit her job and take care of the kids?
Yeah.
Why would Glen do that?
But she was making all the money.
And had health insurance.
Yeah, and had health insurance, right?
But anyway, he eventually came around to the idea, and he did that. And then it came to the point where you can kind of talk about what happened with you sharing some
yeah,
Vine?
So
Was it
I was
Vine?
getting like kind of sad because I didn't really understand what was normal for a stay-at-home dad, and I was like, "Why is this stuff happening?" And no one would believe me if I told them. So I just started recording video on my phone, and it became something that as I shared the videos, people were like, "Man, this is so good. This is so funny and so true. You should share more of this. You should start a YouTube channel." And I was already doing music, kinda, so I was making some money from home, but it became like there was a thing where I was kind of like, I'm just gonna go ahead and make a YouTube channel and make a YouTube video, like videos. And Yvette was kind of looking at me kind of like, what?
Yeah, so honestly, I wasn't familiar with YouTube in the way that he was familiar with it. Because my background is I was a math teacher at the time. And so whenever I went on YouTube to kind of look up things for math. I used it as an educational resource. I didn't know that it was a regular thing for people to be sharing their lives on YouTube on a daily basis. So then he brought that idea up, and I was like, what? Nah, I wasn't for it.
Yeah.
And I didn't like the idea of our children being shared online like that with the internet. I didn't like the idea of me being online. And the way that Glen is, he doesn't really have very much of a filter.
He really does.
So it's kind of like he wasn't like, so he was like, well, I know you don't agree with this, but I'm going to kind of move forward with this anyway and do it. And so that's what he did. And so I would like be shying away from the camera. Whenever he had the camera out, I would kind of like duck and cover. And I was noticing, too, that he would, like, be filming stuff and my bra would just be hanging on the doorknob, or, like, the house was just
clean.
a mess.
It was a mess.
It was just like, do you care about how you're putting us out there? I felt like it was a reflection of me and how well I took care of our home, and he was putting me on blast for not doing a good job. So I was very uncomfortable with the idea. But he just kept doing it.
Yeah, because like it was one of those things where like you're home and you're trying to figure out how to make it work for you. And if she's not home, it's really not her business on how it works for me, because I have to get through it. And I know that now she understands. She's like, you don't get to tell me nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know you have your own things you like to be done, but I'm the one I got to deal with it. So don't tell me nothing.
Yeah. So for those of you watching now, I am now the stay-at-home parent. I have since left my job as a teacher. But go ahead.
So y'all were in agreement about Glen coming home to raise the children. But then there was when starting the YouTube Belief in Fatherhood, that was kind of like a weird, like, well, I don't know. I got to ask you, Glen, when you had pushback from your own wife, how did you push through that? Like, your own spouse is like, I don't know. Like, this is your life right here saying, I don't agree with your vision.
Yeah, I think I the thing is, like, I was having this conversation in my head where it's kind of like, you know, she doesn't believe in this or she doesn't get it. But it's not my responsibility for her to get something that's in my head she has to get what I manifest. Ooh. So the whole point is, like, everybody wants. It's a lot of dreamers out there, right? So dreamers are like, yo, do you believe in my dream? Here's my idea, but you didn't put any work in. So you're asking people to believe in a dream that God gave you and not something that you haven't manifested yet. So your responsibility as a dreamer is to manifest something and then allow people to see that. That way they can buy into it. Mm-hmm. So this was all happening in my head. So at first I was discouraged and I was like, man, I just really I want her to partner with me in this, but she was not for it. She didn't get it. And I was just kind of like, cool, I'm just going to do it. And so what was happening was I kept making videos and then she would look at the video. She would watch them because she didn't know what happened during the day. And so she'd be like, you did all that, you know what I mean? And then she would read some of the comments and people were saying stuff like, man, I'm 12 years old and my dad left when I was a baby and I can't wait to be a dad one day. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Or like, I haven't talked to my dad in 8 years, but one of your videos made me call him thank you. You know what I mean? So you're talking about reconciliation. And so she started to see what was happening. And she was like, you're actually doing something really, really good here.
Like you're doing the Lord's work. Because it wasn't even just the comments that I was reading, but it was the women who would DM me and say like, man, your family gives me hope.
Wow.
And then like the thing about it that I didn't realize because it wasn't something that was missing from my life necessarily, but I had examples of successful, like healthy Black families. And a lot of Black people do not have that. Mm-hmm. And I think I was naive to that or ignorant to that tidbit of information. Like I didn't know that people didn't get to see that. And so I didn't realize the value that Glen was adding to other people's lives.